Let me start with myself. My name is Ali Hussein. Uh, I'm from Kenya, and I'm going to be your sort of, I don't want to say instructor. I like to say your, your conductor of the orchestra, because you are the guys who are going to be. Yeah. So I think we're going to have, 3 days, Wanda? Today, Thursday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we'll get to know each other a lot better. But so my background is in consulting, marketing, and technology, and business skills development. Let's start with the gentleman from uh, from my right here. So Wilberforce, maybe just a quick background about yourself, what you do, and the project or that you want Fire to fund, and how we can help. Go on.
Okay, thank you, Hussein. He's a fellow Kenyan actually, because I'm a Kenyan myself. Yeah, my name is Guton Wilberforce. I'm the team leader of a company called Bunifu Technologies. It's a startup, actually scale up this year. My background is in IT. I did BSc in IT. Back maybe about 4 years ago, and I'm the CEO of the company from 2 years ago. So the project that we are working on at the moment is called Bonifu Antivirus. It's the first antivirus for Africa. We have a desktop version, and we want to go to mobile because there are threats that affect us as users of mobile phones. And Kenya is one of the countries in Africa whereby mobile is big. As you know, you've heard of M-Pesa. How many have heard of M-Pesa in Kenya? I believe all of you guys. So there's a lot of fraud going on, whereby somebody can just say, can send you a message and say, send me money through this number, and many people have been social engineered and duped to believe that that's a genuine message. So what we're trying to do, we applied for Fire Africa to get grants so that we can address the issue of information security, especially in this age whereby we have so many of us plugging into the mobile technology. Yeah. So in brief, that's we're a team of 8, and we were actually in Silicon Savannah. We're actually in Upcountry before we moved to Nairobi now. So we're actually innovating from not in the city, but from outside the city. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Wilberforce. That's great. So what Wilberforce has not told you is Bunifu is a Swahili word for invent. Okay? Buinifu, Bunifu. Right?
Good morning, everyone. My
Morning.
name is Niyi Abiri. Niyi for short. I'm a Nigerian. I'm from Nigeria. I
Can I just call
co-founded.
you Olu?
Oh yeah, all is fine.
Olu, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Or Niyi, if that's
Oni.
easy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's easy.
Okay.
So I created a company called simapit.com. So
Great. Let me just.
basically what we do is we're trying to digitize lots of issues, diverse issues, and hopefully that will lead to civic tech ecosystems in Nigeria where others can get to create their own independent tools, not independent fully, but at least create a central database that people can access and work on and analyze issues. Then other side of our project is we're helping local hubs or tech hubs in local spaces around southwestern Nigeria. That is open to undergraduates to come in and think, create their tools, do tech events, and get engaged 24 hours of the day, basically. So that's how I'm here. Thank you.
Sorry, Olu. I missed. I was trying to connect with the. What is your project?
cmapit.com. cmapit. C. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Malabo Hokanda. You guys, welcome to my country. I'm from Botswana. And the only lady here. So I hope I'll get all the attention. I'm a lecturer in ICT. I'm actually more into Cisco networking, CCNA, CCNP. But I also work with an institute, Botswana IT Society. I'm the chairperson for education and training. So my work is focused this year in women in ICT, training them, and we're working on training women to be acquainted with developing apps. And one of the ideas is to find ways of helping them using that as a survival skill. Yeah, I think that's that's about it. Okay. That objective and then some. We have various projects that we're working on right now. We have about 3 research projects that we are currently undertaking under the IT Society. And then we also have the Women in ICT, which has been initiated about a week ago. And because we had Women in ICT yesterday, they've been prompting that we have it kickstarted alongside this event. Hence, putting together, hopefully you guys will help me with the development of the document, putting together a document that could get the stakeholders locally to assist in such a project. Because we have a struggle in ICT locally. Well, I'd say not just the rurals and the urbans, but we have young girls who are struggling with, well, they don't have much educational background on ICT, and we are using ICT now as a tool, or we could say Internet of Things as the current business. So we are trying to get that to the interest of the young ones to use it as a tool to sustain them. I don't know if it makes sense. I'm kind of touching here and there. All right, thank you very much.
Morning. I'm Tijan Bal from Mali. I'm medical doctor and medical IT specialist. Yeah, Tijan. No, because I think it's not important. The title is not important.
Where we come from, it's very important. Okay, go on.
I'm medical doctor and medical IT specialist.
Medical IT.
Yeah. I'm the founder of MaliSante.net, which is Mali medical information website. Seen Mali Sante. Mali Sante. Yeah, Sante.
S-A-N-T.
Yes. Since 2009.
What does Mali
MaliSante is a medical information website. It provides medical information and helps to look at medical issues like clinics, pharmacies. Okay, here my project is SocialMed. SocialMed is a platform which permits to diaspora Malian to pay medication in pharmacies for their parents in Mali. It will help them to secure their money and help their parents to access to medication.
Yes, I'm Chancel from DRC. Chancel Malanga. Yes.
Malanga.
Yes, from DRC. I'm a computer science engineer. I work for Vodacom DRC as Vodacom DRC. Yes. As a mobile money specialist, M-Pesa. Yes. I have also my own enterprise, Eagle Site. My project, Eagle Site. Eagle Site. Yes. Yes. My project is called Nachombo, micro mobile phone, which is an implementation of SMS gateway and web portal to publish students' exam marks. This project is a software solution which integrates an SMS gateway application, a database server, and a web portal. Yes, the purpose of this information system is to enable professors at local universities throughout the country to publish students' exams marks so that they may require the system to get the result. I think that's all.
Hi guys. Good morning. It's good to be here. My name is Ian Mutamiri. I am from Zimbabwe. I am an engineer. I'm actually an electrical engineer. I majored in telecoms and then slowly drifted more to ICT and networking. I'm carving away a career in ICT consultancy. So I am a FIRE baby. In 2013, I got my first grant from FIRE, which was about $10,000 to help create our app, which is now a full-blown project called the Native Project, which is a project aimed at creating which is a project aimed at creating local language learning apps for children. So aside from that, I'm also a music producer. I like making music. So that's something a lot more personal. Yeah, so my company Purple Zoom basically does automation using ICT and hardware. So we do a lot of things in the internet, IoT space, control systems, and interfacing hardware and software, making software talk to hardware to do stuff in agriculture, in energy, and different spaces. So I'm excited to be here to learn more about project management, because one of the biggest questions and problems I have experienced, and I have seen other African entrepreneurs experience, is the issue of sustainability. So I hope we learn a lot, and I'm happy that FIRE picked a local person who hopefully has local experiences, who will then lead us through to thinking about how we can solve the issue of sustainability. So yeah, thank you.
Great. Wanda want to say something?
So this session is being recorded, and everything we say we'll post it on the Afrinic YouTube channel as a webinar. Yeah, so be audible and be lively in the communication. So Ali, you can continue.
Wanda, I guess everybody knows you here. Okay, great. And I think we have guests on this other side, so we'll just say hi to you guys. And are they allowed to participate? Okay, great. Okay, so we'll kick off this session, which will take us the rest of the morning. So, what is project management? Everyone here who's talked today morning is at some point or other actually doing a project. Yeah? So how, and I would really love to hear from Malanga more about how they're implementing M-Pesa and what sort of differences they're seeing in between Kenya and DRC, and what are those learnings that you're getting from your formal employment to what you're doing, what in Nairobi we call the side hustle. I don't know what you guys call it in DRC, but in Nairobi we call it the side hustle. So those learnings would really, really be important. And I like this engagement to be extremely interactive. So raise your hand. You're not sure. I'm going to ask you questions. We are going to generally be very interactive. If you don't understand anything, please stop me. So, project management foundations. Are you guys able to see there? Yes. I'm getting old, so I need my... Oh, I need to go there. I see. Okay, that's fine. I didn't know I was going to be an actor today, so... Okay, cool. Okay, so our target audience today is basically to look at people who probably have little or no experience on project management, formal project management concepts, the project management body of knowledge, which is the PMI, Project Management Institute, and I'll give you links later on for you guys to look at. Program or portfolio management concepts, what is the role of a project manager. Also, people who may be frustrated with failed projects, poorly organized work efforts, lack of leadership in project efforts, or starting out with their first projects. Well, how many people, how many grantees or potential grantees who are not here today? So 5. He's just come in. Okay, so let's have an introduction from him. So just your name, where you're coming from, and what project are you looking to be funded?
Thank you so very much. Good morning, everyone. Okay, my own name is Samuel Akinshola. I'm local here. I'm from Botswana here. My organization is called BYEP, the Botswana Youth Empowerment Projects. Recently, we participated in the first week Internet Access for Africa from Web We Want from the United States, and the project, the application stipulating our projects we applied for FIRE was to bridge the communication gap between the local people in the local remote area in Botswana and the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. Welcome. Okay, so we are going to go through introduction to project management. We're going to look at the project life cycle. We're going to look at project organization and key roles. We are then going to also review what we've learned today. Okay? So, introduction to project management. What is a project? A temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So, not everything is a project, okay? A project has to have a beginning and an end. The temporary nature of a project means that it has a definite beginning and ending. Efforts that have no defined end, date, or definition of done are not projects. They are ongoing operations. So, what's an ongoing operation? Ian, you run a company, correct? Your day-to-day operations, accounting, sales, marketing, opening the office. That's ongoing operations. What is within your organization? What would be a project? Within your organization, what would be a project, please?
So I guess what would be a project for me is Native, where we are creating one product which is aimed at helping kids to learn their native languages. And then we've got several projects that we're managing as well, aside from Native as a company. So yes, it will come to an end at one point.
Just remind me your name again.
Malabo. Lebo.
Lebo, okay.
Yes.
Lebo.
To me, a project would be probably having a research topic to work on. It would have a timeline, a start, and it will have an end, as the end would be the report. It can feed into the next project.
Okay, great. Okay, so every project creates a unique product, service, or result. The project ends in only one of two ways. First, you may have met your objectives. It's also possible that the project is terminated because its objectives will not or cannot be met, or when the need for the project no longer exists. In what situation would it be that your objectives are not met? What could have happened that your objectives for that particular project are not met? What could have happened? Let's hear from Tidian, Dr. Tidian. What have you experienced through your professional life that you wanted to do something that you were unable to achieve it for any particular reason? What could have happened? In retrospect, if you think back now, what happened that you are unable to achieve your objective?
I don't give up.
You don't give up.
Yeah, I try always.
You keep on trying and trying.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Ian.
Okay, so I have so many times that I have failed. For example, when last year we were testing a revenue model. So we thought creating a learning center for children would be a way of sustaining Native. So that was in itself a side project, which was also an experiment. And then because of poor planning and lack of the correct people to help you implement the idea, so team and skills and expertise, it all within 6 months it just crashed. So that was something that I would consider a failure, which rendered the project non-existent. But of course, we carried on lessons from there. So I think the two things is poor planning and team.
Poor planning and?
And a lack of a good team.
Lack of a good team. Yeah. Okay. Can we, for 1 minute, I'll come back to you, Lebo, but for 1 minute, let's just recap what Ian has said, and I want us to be very clear about this. The difference between failure and experimentation and continuous iteration. Failure is you've given up.
Okay.
You take that sort of failure in your mind and you say, this is something that I can iterate. I have learned how not to do this. Do you know how many times the inventor of electricity, Thomas Edison, do you know how many times he failed? He failed in courts before he actually got it right? 999. Yes, Lebo. She wanted to say something. I hope I'm getting your name correct.
Yes, it is correct.
Correct.
Malabo. What I found with my projects was mostly the budgeting was a challenge because you'd either overestimate or underestimate. And if you do underestimate the project, chances are you will run out of resources. And running out of resources means the project coming to an end, unless you get somebody to rescue the situation. This is something that I also find in construction. A lot of projects that we have locally, which I've kind of gotten my hands, or rather had an experience with, you have either the under budget or you have unreasonable objectives. Certain objectives, for instance, I would say you have in research, you'd have a target group for your research, and then you cannot meet or identify the target group, or they're unwilling to participate in the research.
I like what you just said, Lebo. Under budgeted, or unreasonable expectations. Let's put those down. Wanda. Under budget, reasonable expectations. Failure as opposed to learnings or experimentation. Okay. Great. So, how are projects organized? I know quite a lot of you. I think we have a latecomer. We need to acknowledge him. We came in quite late yesterday. Can we have that? We came in quite late yesterday, and I think my friend Karanja was among the team. So, Karanja, please introduce yourself to the team and where you're coming from, what you're doing, why you're here, and then we'll move on.
I'm Ruben Mungai Karanja from Kenya, a county called Nyeri. I'm here representing Incaps Africa Limited. I'm the technical director. Our firm basically deals in network projects and security. And I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Karanja. Okay, so how are projects organized? Individual projects, which is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product or service. This is just a recap. Program, which is a collection of projects, sub-programs, or other work that are managed in a coordinated fashion in support of a portfolio. And a portfolio, which is a collection of projects, programs, sub-portfolios, and operations managed as a group to achieve strategic benefits. Obviously, the more complex your organization, the more you're going to be using a lot more of these different project types, rather project organization types, okay? So the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities in order to meet the defined project requirements. So the project management process. You have planning, you have initiating, you have planning, you have executing, and you have closing on one side. Or you can also have project initiation, project planning, project execution, and project closure. In between that, you're doing reviews, you're doing definitions, you're doing detailed planning, and you're doing monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation is something that we must try and do on a continuous basis. We don't wait up to the end. Because if we wait up to the end, we wait for us to totally fail. We need to be able to monitor and evaluate at every stage. Do you guys agree with me on that? Okay, so how is a project managed? First, we must document the definition of done. What does it mean to actually achieve? So you start with the end game. What do you want to achieve? So let's look at Bunifu. Wilberforce, what's your end game? What do you want to achieve for Bunifu? Do you want to be the semantic of Africa, or do you want to basically beat semantic at its own game?
Okay, for Bunifu, what you want to achieve is that we want to be the Africa's security center. We want to establish a lab for Africa. Previously, or even currently, we are saying that we're consuming a lot from outside Africa. And so there's nobody in Africa who is taking on challenges which are even big like those. So what you want to achieve is to be a premier security center in the continent. Native people, black people, leading that innovation. Yeah, so that's our end game. And we began by doing Bunifu antivirus. Currently in Kenya, it is in its third year now. We began with a basic project called an anti-malware. Then 2015, we went to an antivirus. 2016, we are still researching again. Actually, the long-term project. But as we do that, we're also pivoting to other areas, because what we realize is that we have a lot of technical expertise. And right now, we are giving developers some tools. We have some developer tools for creating interfaces based on our experiences. So we may have begun with that, but we know it's our long-term project. But as we do that, we discover that we have other things which can come in so that it can sustain the business. Because as it is now, Bunifu antivirus is not sustaining our business. It's a long-term project which is going to take time. Yeah.
Wilberforce, I picked an interesting word here, pivoting. Yeah. Do we all know what pivoting means? No? Yeah. Ian?
So to continue with my previous contribution,
yeah,
where we experimented, now that you have given light to what we actually did last year. It was an experiment, and that made us realize that we cannot shoulder the overhead of running a preschool. Our core business is creating technology that should help children. But the good thing that we noticed is that there's so much interest from parents who are actually the paying stakeholder, in as much as there's interest on the children. So what that did for us was we were pivoting to answer the question is, say you were going that direction, you meet something, you learn something, and then based on what you have learned, you change direction, basically. You're still continuing with your business, and you're still going to get to the objectives, but what you've done is you've avoided maybe a tougher way of achieving your objectives, but you're still on the same path. So for us, we decided to say, okay, fine, we're not going to go around creating learning centers. We're just going to go and say, hey, here's our take. What do you think? Do you want to use it? Let's talk.
Basically taking a different direction.
Yes.
Okay, while we are still with you, Ian, what is it that you want to achieve? What is your project? What is it that you want to achieve in one sentence like this?
In one sentence?
Yes.
That's hard. We want to, we have already created a learning technology for children.
Yes.
But what we want to do is to sustain it.
Okay. Purple Zoom.
Zoom.
Zoom. Z-O-O.
Let's use native, N-A-T-I-V.
Native. Okay. So.
With no E.
With no E. All right.
I'll explain later.
Not a problem. Just like I picked up what, in all the words that Wilberforce told me, I picked up Bunifu wants to be the premier security center in Africa. What does Native aspire to be? What's your vision?
My vision is to find inclusive usage of local languages in schools.
Across Africa?
Across Africa.
Inclusive, to find?
Inclusive use of local language as part of learning. I don't know how we can word that.
Use of local languages. It doesn't matter whether it's Sindebele, Shona, Swahili, Zulu, Wolof, across Africa. Okay? To find inclusive use of local languages. Across Africa. Okay?
The backbone being technology.
Using technology.
Using technology.
Great. Fantastic. Let's go to Karanja. Karanja, what's your project? And what's the vision of your project? Are you still working up? Do you want me to come back to you later? All right, great. Olu. I'll stick with Olu. It's easier for me, if you don't mind. So, Olu, your project? Just touch at the back.
The vision is we're trying to create a central geodata repository for Nigeria.
You're trying?
To create a central geodata repository for Nigeria.
Can I rephrase that for you?
Yeah, sure.
You're aspiring.
Okay.
Aspiring to?
Create a central...
This is map...
cmapit.com.
cmapit.com.
Yes.
Aspiring to create?
Central geodata repository for Nigeria.
Geodata repository for Nigeria. Quick question.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Isn't Google doing this?
Yes. So that we have our own pivot is different.
Yours is different.
Yes, this
How
is different. OSM is doing what Google is doing. Google has a base map, but when you look at a map, when you look at HairMap, Google Map, or any kind of map, as beautiful as it is, the visualized aspect is just an interaction of data in Excel sheets. And basically, what the data does is it has coordinates and it eliminates assumption. But what Google is not doing and what OSM2 is not fully doing is they're not giving people access to the data sets in Excel file, in spreadsheet basically, for easy analytics. Instead, they have APIs and co that they're charging with. So what we're now doing is, because Google is not well localized to Nigeria and a lot of African countries, which is where we have our own edge. So what we're doing is we're doing what Google is doing, but we're opening up the full access to the citizens. So for example, we've been able to create a tool based on that concept called iReport Election. So what iReport Election does is a web app that works with a mobile app. So it's out already, it's in tests. We'll be launching soon across Africa. So it's an easy way for any citizen to collect information that relates to election. Is delimited as much information as possible. So in the next 5-6 years, you're looking at a situation where you have a civic-driven platform that has as much information as government. So you have something that can actually match politics, propaganda, or anything. So we're just trying to sort of strengthen civic engagement.
I like that word. I like that
Yeah.
civic-driven platform.
Yes.
Great.
So, like in Nigeria, for example, I'm just trying to highlight the use case because we've scaled and we're doing fine. Boko Haram is the very popular insurgency group in Nigeria, and
Is it
Boko Haram, insurgency group or insurgents in Nigeria, and the interesting part is one thing that is lacking that strengthened them so much is the fact that the government has no information, but we've been able to sort of restrict them to a region. But the other aspects that was declared in Nigeria recently is the Fulani attacks. And interestingly, I think Fulani attacks, the Fulani herdsmen.
Cattle rustling.
Cattle rustlers.
Yes.
So it's a very popular issue, but the interesting thing is nobody has data. Nobody has been able to track them, and I think what the threats are is the fact that they are present in all regions, and basically it's a cultural issue, but at the same time it's becoming some sort of terrorism threat. But interestingly, we started using CMAP to track Fulani attacks, and recently we were declared as the most effective platform to do that. So state governments, national governments, then private bodies now depend on the data that's been able to, that CMAP has. So what we're now trying to sort of expand that to is, because we covered an area that we couldn't go beyond certain boundaries because of the threats to our lives as a team. So what we're now improvising with is, like we have a tech space. When we created the tool as a product, it was difficult to sell it. So we now have to create, we now have to sort of design local tech spaces and attach it to universities. So in the process, we have APIs and other things. So the local tech space is open up to undergraduates. So when they come in, they use our space, the internet for free, but at the same time, we try to get them to use our API to create. So at the end of the day, we now have some people developing other products from our own data set. So now that we have issues trying to access some points to expand our database on the Fulani attacks, we've now been able to see young people that are building drones, improvising to build drones, yes, that is connected to the mobile app. So when we get to a point that we know we're safe, they can send the drones. I have videos of, we can send the drones to the interpart of where we can reach to be able to sort of track the isolated communities that
That's
are vulnerable.
interesting.
So
I think we would like to hear a bit more about that. Thank you very much. What, in a few words, what's your project again, or your organization?
The IT Society.
The IT Society.
Botswana IT Society.
Botswana IT Society,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
The current researches we're working on is putting local content online using the local languages.
Local content online using local languages. Now, some of these things are very important, guys, really, because what are we doing? we are consuming foreign content. That's what we are doing in Africa. You just want to see the internet map when it comes to Africa. This must stop. And some of these projects may look simplistic, but they are fundamental to this continent. Huh? Great level. Samuel.
Okay.
It's Samuel, right?
Yeah, you're
okay.
right.
Your organization, Samuel, again, and
That's,
what do you aspire to do?
Okay. In our projects.
Your organization?
BYEP.
BY.
Empowerment Project.
Botswana Youth
Empowerment Projects.
BYEP. Botswana Youth Empowerment Project. Great. Yeah. So, what's your aspirations?
Okay. As youth of Botswana, we come to realize the huge knowledge Olympiad which has been invested in the young people, and on a longer scale, it tends to be wasted due to maybe uninformed policy of employment and so on and so forth. So now our project is focusing on a simple approach. We'll be using technology just like as our baseline of operating. Like I said earlier on, we will be actually bridging the communication gap between the local people in the remote areas and the government. I will give an example to say.
I like that. Bridging
the communication gaps.
The communication gap between the rural areas and government. You know, it's interesting because this is something that is common across Africa. You know, in Kenya, there are certain areas that you go, areas like Turkana, which is the remote northwest of Kenya, and they ask you, how is Kenya? They ask you, how is Kenya? They almost don't consider themselves in Kenya. So that, bridging that communication gap, I think is very critical. Yeah. And you're going to tell us, Samuel, how you're going to do that,
okay.
How you're going to achieve that.
Okay.
Dr. Tidian. Yes, sir. This is medical
platform.
The medical platform. So what's your aspirations? What's your vision?
My vision is to
Mali Sanda.
No, this is the company name, but the project is Social Med. Social Med.
Social Med. Okay.
My vision is to make Social Med the African diaspora platform.
To make?
Social Med, African diaspora platform.
To make Social Med Africa's diaspora platform.
On which they can pay medication for their parents on the continent who are not covered by the insurance system.
Africa's diaspora med platform. Does that cover to make Social Med Africa's diaspora med platform to help relatives back home? Yes. Yes, sir. Malanga.
Okay. The purpose of my project is to help the students to get their mark everywhere that's where they were. So the information that our platform will get.
What's your platform called again?
Kotna Chumbo. I don't know if you'll be able to write it.
It's okay. Just spell it for me.
C.
C.
O
O
T
T
E
E
N
N.
space N
Okay.
N A
A
space
space
T
T
S H
H
O
O
M
M.
yes B B
B for Bombay.
yes and O yes, but my company is Eagle Sight.
Eagle Sight.
Yes, this is the name of
Okay.
my project.
Okay. So what's your vision?
Okay, so but the information that my platform will get will help the government to make some statistic. For example, to know the exact number of students across the country, and also to solve the issue related to the missing mark.
Is that a problem in
yes,
DRC?
Yes, it's a very very big problem in DRC. And also to know the level of the student, because in DRC we can find a student who doesn't know exactly what he learn. Yes.
Okay. How can we help Malanga?
Because
define
because in our platform we get those information. The professor will
so could we say to improve access to information in education?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In DRC, are
DRC.
you only focusing in the geographical area of DRC, or do you have aspirations across the continent?
First, I will
First
start.
DRC.
I will start by
Okay.
DRC.
So, sorry, what did I say again? Yeah. To improve access.
Information around education.
To information around education. Can I say across the different stakeholders? So that's teachers, students, parents, government. Is that okay, Malanga?
Yes.
Around education for all stakeholders. This is interesting because education is critical for what we want to achieve. Have we covered everybody? We are back to Karanja. I hope Karanja has woken up now. Yes, Karanja. Tell us about your project.
Our project is basically a web portal. It's a citizen engagement portal.
Citizen engagement portal. Do you have a specific name for it? Do you have a brand name for it?
We just call it CEP.
CEP.
Yeah, CEP.
Citizen engagement portal.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about that. Tell us a bit about what you want to achieve, and then we'll come to the...
What we want to achieve is, in Kenya, since 2010, we got devolved governments.
Yeah.
So the national budget is devolved to county units, which are basically 47. So when these funds get to the counties, we have an issue of the management of those funds. When the budget is done, we want citizens to actively participate in what they want done in their counties and what they feel has been done and has it been done correctly. Because when these county governments are audited, you find that most of them cannot account up to 70% of the allocated budgets.
So what's the difference between the county government and the national government?
The only difference is the county government is more like it's small. It's a replication of the national government, but at the
Okay, I hear you. So, in a nutshell, what would you want to achieve with the CEP, the Citizen Engagement Portal?
what we want to achieve is have those local wananchi, the citizens.
So, for those of you who are not Kenyan,
have the
also
projects they
Wananchi
want.
means citizens?
Yeah, it means citizens.
Okay.
Want the citizens to have projects initiated, projects that will directly benefit them.
Okay. So, citizen empowerment.
Yeah, citizen empowerment.
Okay. All right, great. So I think we have our dance where we want to be, okay? So next we're looking at identifying requirements needed to get done, okay? So guys need to start thinking now. All these nice sounding stuff that we've done, we want citizen empowerment. We want to improve access to information around education for all stakeholders. We want to make SocialMed Africa's Diaspora Med platform to help relatives back home. We are aspiring to create geodata repository for Nigeria, which needs to be civic driven. We want to create local content online using local languages. We want to bridge the gap between rural areas and government. And then, Bunifu, we want to be the premier security center in Africa and native, without an E, Ian, to find inclusive use of local languages across Africa using technology. You know what I find interesting about all this? I think out of all these, quite a number of them is about information. It's about getting information to the right places, all right? So that's great. Okay. The next thing is addressing the various needs, concerns, and expectations of the stakeholders in planning and execution. So, what are the various needs of your stakeholders? What are their concerns and expectations? For example, Olu, when you're dealing with these issues in Nigeria, CMAPIT, do you think the Boko Harams of this world and the Fulani rustlers will take kindly to what you're doing? Of course not.
No, of course not. But
yes.
Okay, well.
So you need to be able to manage that process.
Yes.
You need to be able to, because your issue borders on national security. Actually, it is national security.
Yeah.
So that managing of stakeholder management is critical. And we'll talk more about it as we move along. Setting up, maintaining, and carrying out communications among stakeholders. That's really important. And in the afternoon, we'll talk about communication today. Managing stakeholders towards meeting project requirements and creating project deliverables. So, stakeholders, partners, people you must work with to ensure that your projects are successful. How do you manage those? Okay? And we'll, as we move along, we'll get to here. All right, so balancing competing project constraints. My sister here talked about managing expectations, communicating correctly. So you have, every project has constraints. One of the major ones is about budgets. It's about time. It is about scope. How do you ensure that the scope of the project is within your ability to actually achieve that? What quality will you achieve out of that project? Schedule. There has to be a timeline, isn't it? If there's no timeline, what did I say earlier about a project? Wilberforce, you wanted to say something? Yeah, it has a beginning and it has an end. If it doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end, what is it? It's normal operations. A budget, you must have a budget. And that's one of the reasons we're here, isn't it? Correct? We're looking for that budget. Resources. What are the risks and what are the issues? What are the risks? For example, Malanga, when you're doing this in DRC, what is the effect of what you're doing to the Ministry of Education? How are they handling, are they receptive to your project? Are they hostile? Or are they, we really don't care?
I already contacted the government, but the government is agree about this project. But currently, I don't know if I can call it a risk, but the difficult that I faced is in DRC, for example, in the province. I don't know if you understand province. in the province.
Mm-hmm. Which province is this?
In DRC we have 11 provinces.
Yes.
But in the capital, students use
Kinshasa.
Kinshasa.
Mm-hmm.
Students use the technology. But a part of Kinshasa, there are many provinces where
the Katangas and the others
Katanga,
a bit better.
But Equator and other provinces, it's very difficult for students.
It's quite behind.
Yes, for students to use a technology.
Okay.
I can say this is the difficult that I will face.
Okay, so
yes.
I mean, those are some of the risks that we are facing, and we've talked about all those risks, which are probably higher, that may even, talk about life risk. Yeah.
Okay.
So those are issues that we must look at. Changing any one factor will also change at least one other factor. For example, shortening the schedule will likely increase cost or reduce quality. Okay. So we must take that into consideration. Project management strategy. Project management and strategy. Strategic plans are often drafted by organizations to respond to threats and opportunities that may occur today, tomorrow, or further into the future. Based on these plans, individual projects are typically formed to address one or more of the following considerations. Number one, market demand. What is the market demand of what you guys are doing? Or is it something that you woke up one morning and said, this is a good idea? Have you done an initial, even if it's a deep stake research, where you are polling a number of people to see whether there is market demand? So that's really important. Strategic opportunity or business need. What is the strategic opportunity? What is the business need? What is the strategic opportunity or business need of what you're doing? What is that major opportunity that you feel you are the one who can best resolve it or meet it? Okay? Societal need. Where's the societal need? I mean, my good friend Karanja from Nyeri, Kenya, talked to us about the citizen engagement portal. My good friend from Botswana, my two good friends from Botswana, talked about local content online using local languages, bridging the community gap between the rural areas and government. These are societal needs. right? Would you agree? Environmental considerations. What are the environmental considerations? CMAP for it has talked to us about the issues that they're facing. What are the customer needs? What are the technological advances that will help our projects? What are those technological advances that will help our project? For example, Olu, what platforms are you using to do what you're doing currently? Are you using open source platforms? Are you using open source platforms? What are those platforms that are now ubiquitously available online to be able to assist you to do what you're doing?
Okay. First, as a startup, actually, when we started CMAP, considering my own background in GIS, I know that it's something that...
Olu, can you tell your colleagues and the audience what GIS means?
Geographical information system.
Yeah, so that we don't get too deeply into acronyms.
Right.
Geographical information systems.
So I know technically it's the future and it's something that works for everybody. But the interesting thing is the market is non-existent, all because people are not informed. So what we did basically is, as opposed to horse pulling, is to create value propositions. That's what we did basically. We created value propositions, pivoted around two things: simple data access, APIs. So for us to market, I know the demography of the people that will trigger the market with their on social media, and specifically on Twitter. So all I had to do was to sort of, for marketing, focus on Twitter, then start to snowball. That's basically what I did.
Okay. Great. Who wants to talk about the technological advances that are making what he or she is doing a lot easier, or will make it a lot easier? No one? Bunifu? What platforms are you using? .NET. Are you paying for those? So why did you decide to choose .NET, not open source? Not other open source platforms?
Okay, the reason is that what we're developing is a security software for Windows platform. So we had no choice but to use what is already there. So for us, we just had to use a .NET platform for that, yeah.
Okay, now, Wilberforce, let me challenge you. Challenge you today so that you start thinking, and this is why we're here. So I'm not putting you on, on the on center stage for no other reason but to just get your mind to start thinking in terms of how you can, to use your own words, how you can pivot. Okay? So, today we have a number of computer operating systems worldwide. You want to mention those to me? Number one?
We have Linux.
Linux?
Mac OS.
iOS?
iOS, yeah. Android.
Android?
And Windows.
And Windows.
Yep.
Who do you think is the clear leader here? Who do you think is the clear leader here?
Okay, we have Android as leading on mobile.
No, Android is leading across the board now. See, when you're talking about computer systems, my brother, don't differentiate computers and mobile. They are all computers. Who disagrees with me here? You disagree with me? He's got a point. Okay, let's hear his point. Let's hear his point. Ian.
Okay, Okay, you see, if you go to a normal office, you'll find that Android is used mostly in individual devices.
So, Wilberforce, what in your definition is a normal office?
Okay, an office where there are laptops. Okay, is a space where people are working from.
You see where I'm going with this? You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. All right. Let me pose a question to you guys. Ian, out of 10 Africans getting onto the internet for the first time, out of 10 Africans getting onto the internet for the first time, how many do you think are using a computer, and how many do you think are accessing the internet using a mobile device?
I would
thumbs up.
Yeah, I would imagine that a great number of them are accessing.
Give me a percentage.
Mobile.
Give me a percentage.
Maybe
9 to 10, 8 to 10,
8.
1 to 10.
Maybe 8.
8? 80-20? 90-10? Yes, sir. 9 to 10? Yes, sir.
Some of us right now, we are here, but you're working from our phones. You know, we are at the workshop, but we are working from the phone. You get? So if your application is not supported by a mobile device, then you're disadvantaged.
Ian, Wilberforce, do you see where I'm going with this? You need to do what? You need to do what? Actually, let me just say this. Forget Africa. Forget Africa for 1 minute. 85% market share as of last year, Android. Worldwide. 85%. These guys, with all due respect to Microsoft, they need to pivot. So, the good thing about what you're doing is that you built a platform. So to move it to the next stage is no biggie. Yeah? You get where I'm going with this? All right. I didn't want to put you on carpet, but I just wanted to, to point out. Yes, Ian?
Yeah, okay. It's just a question or clarification. So, in short, we're saying in terms of what he's doing, he has to pivot his technology in order to scale.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
Okay,
I mean,
he's saying yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Look, I know everybody here. I want to do a very quick, what we call dipstick research. Quickly. I can see a number of laptops here, right? So most of us on laptops are using Windows, correct? Right, okay. How many of us, this is a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 28. 28 people. Raise your hand if you're using an Android phone. Raise your hand if you're using an Android phone. Need I say more? Need I say more? It's more than 85%. Okay. Wilberforce, your next move is mobile, isn't it? So you know what you need to do. Yeah? I want to talk a bit about legal or regulatory requirements of projects. You see, and this is a problem today that happens across Africa. A lot of startups and a lot of projects don't even pay attention to this issue. And it's the biggest elephant in the room today. Companies have shut down because they have done so much research, they have done so much work, then one day they get a knock from the government and you are told, you're doing illegal things. Shut down. Yes, Wilberforce, you seem to have a burning experience to talk about. Talk to us.
Yeah, I had a burning experience with Kenya, for example. That's our country. So we have the local standards office. It's called KEBS, Kenya Bureau of Standards. And when we are developing some software projects, they don't have a legal framework to even address the projects that you're working on. So you end up trying to use maybe another country like the US, which is advanced, to base your legal argument on and also your requirements on. So what can we do to just circumvent that? Yeah.
You know, it's actually a pet subject of mine, this issue. No legal framework, yeah? No experience on regulatory requirements. One of the most important skill sets that you must now build is how to navigate these legal requirements, regulatory. Now, when you have no legal, for example, what you've just said. So if you go to KEBS, the Kenya Bureau of Standards, and they tell you we have no legal framework on how to engage with a software company. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, wait a minute. Nairobi is supposed to be ground zero for software innovation and technology in Africa. And the government is telling you they have no legal framework to do this. What do we do? Do we shut down and go home? What do we do? Olu, what do we do?
Can I use myself as an example? For example, in Nigeria now, what we're doing is becoming popular. The market is growing. But at the same time, we had to pause on a few things because we're waiting for some sort of regulations from the government, trying to sort of regulate geodata exchange and transfers and so. We had to pause some of our activities. That's what we did.
If a country doesn't have any regulations towards what you're doing, if a country doesn't have the regulations or the policies towards what you're doing, can you piggyback on the IE or the ISO standards because they're international and they act as an umbrella to the global community?
Yes. Let's be clear on one thing. Innovation is always, or at least almost always, ahead of regulation. So how do you navigate this conundrum? How do you do it? You don't want government types to start walking into your office and start telling you you're doing something illegal, and yet they don't even have a legal framework to regulate you. How do you deal with that? You know this problem, this is a big problem, a huge problem, not only in Africa, across the world. Yeah? And entrepreneurs are becoming quite innovative in terms of how to deal with it. You've raised a good point. But you can't bury your head in the sand and say, because there's no legal framework, we are going to ignore these government administrators. They're going to come hard on you. So how do you, did I see a hand raised. Let me give this lady a hand. Please introduce yourself, and then you can answer.
My name is Loaron Tusite. I come from ICT Dynamics. So me and my team have been thinking of starting a project using TV white space. So approaching BOCRA, which is they regulate the legal frameworks around, So what we got is that they don't have a legal framework for TV white space because it's one of the new technologies. So I think the way forward for us to do is to pilot the project. It is being piloted by one company, is to learn research from them, and then we also pilot. In doing so, we'll also get to learn while practicing. We'll see the loopholes where they are.
That's a great answer. I think so. You wanted to say something?
Leonard from Nairobi, Kenya. Just to add on to that, I think what they're doing, that's the best way to go because regulation actually hinders innovation. So it's good for innovation to be ahead of regulation. And as software developers, people in ICT, we should set the stage for the regulation. Let's set the policies, advise the government on the policies, and they'll come up with the regulation that fits us. Instead of waiting for them to bring something to us, let's take something to them.
Who's heard of this term, blockchains? Blockchains. Do you know that there's no regulation, there's no legal framework worldwide on blockchains? Zero. Not the US, not Europe, no one. And yet, it's probably the most important piece of technology in our age today. So you are finding technology companies that are focused in this area are trying to navigate regulation. I am telling you, it's not easy. But do you give up because some governor of a central bank somewhere has no clue or doesn't want to even engage because he's tech-phobic? Do you stop doing what you're doing because if the worst comes to the worst, you may have to actually move out of that country. And the beauty about technology is it's borderless. Yes, sir.
She mentioned pilot the other time. And I think regulation can be a very big obstacle. For example, the work we're doing is localized to Nigeria. And we're at a state where we want to build very cheap drones, and even the budget for the whole project is around $2,000, $2,500. But for you to fly a drone in Nigeria now, even for family relaxation, you must have a pilot license. Apart from you having a pilot license, you must pay to the tune of, I think in my calculation, it was close to $10,000 to be able to get the certificate to pilot your drone. So, meaning that going through the unstructured regulation is going to cost you about $20,000, $30,000.
Okay, Olu, let me stop you there because we have to take a break now. But let me just say this. Even as we talk about regulation as an obstacle, let's be careful. This is a mine. It's a mine area that we need to navigate very carefully, because there's a reason why we have regulation. There's a reason, yeah. So, business people, non-governmental players must be able to work within a framework. The key word here, and I must emphasize this, is engagement. Engagement, 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 engagement. All right? If we didn't have regulation, can you imagine? We have a wild, wild west kind of scenario. Yeah? Everyone for himself and God for us all. Kind of scenario. Then we don't have governments. Yeah? You might argue, what do we need governments for? But that's a discussion, not for this, for this forum. All right, guys, let's take a break. Wanda, 15 minutes? All right.
15 minutes to break so that we can continue the program.